Hello students, today we will study History, Chapter 1, The Modern Period. What is history? History is the study of the past, or you can say history is the study over changing pattern of the society. It is the study of change. Importance of dates. Dates are very much important in history. Because of this arranging of dates, the events of history are in the order of their occurrence. So it is easy to understand for us that when these events were happened. So we can say that these helps us in tracing the development within a time frame. And the next question arises, why we study history? Yes, students, we study history to know about our past. By studying the events of the past, give us an understanding of how the world came to be, how various civilizations developed and what brought about their ruins. And it is also important to study so one may learn about past human behavior. By learning about the causes and effects of events in history, people can learn better ways to deal with conflicts among nations and individuals. Periodization in history. Every new development in a human mind either creates or is created by specific changes in the society. So these changes have been characterized into different periods. There are different views of different people. The view of James Mills in the early 19th century, a scholar named James Mill wrote the first history of India that covered all periods. He divided Indian history on the basis of religion. So, according to his view, the ancient India was called the Hindu period, as most of India was then under the Hindu rulers. And the medieval period was known as Muslim period, as during this time India was under the rule of Mughals or other Muslim dynasties. And the last, the modern period, came to be known as the Christian period, as it was ruled by the British. Different views of historians. Most of the modern day historians have discarded this religion based periodization for many reasons. First, the Hindu period, as explained by James Mill, was not a period in which Hinduism was the only religion followed in the country. Islam came to India many years before the Mughals came. Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism were different religious beliefs which had a sizable number of followers at that time also. Secondly, the rulers or the common people or the religion cannot be the sole factor to trace the developments of a particular time period. The overall social, economic, political and cultural changes play as much as an important part. So to understand history, it is divided by the Indian historians into three periods: ancient, medieval and modern. The time period of ancient period is 10,000 BCE to 700 CE. In this ancient period, Stone Age, Bronze Age and Iron Age comprises, and also the Indus Valley civilization and the rise of the first dynasty kings and kingdoms also included. The time duration of medieval period was 700 CE to 1800 CE. According to many historians, this is the time when the arrival of the Turks in India was, and it is also known as the transition from the ancient to the medieval period. Now the last modern period, this starts from 1700 CE onwards. Modern period is known as the arrival of the British in the 17th century. In this modern period, there were lots of developments were done, such as industrialization, urbanization, advancement in science and technology, communication, spread of literacy and education, and also the rapid growth of trade and development. About the colonial rule, the time duration of colonial rule is 1605 CE to 1947 CE. The Britishers, they came as a trading company and slowly spread their wings to establish political control over large areas, and the Mughal Empire started declining after 1700 CE. So, because of this situation, the European traders took advantage of the local political instability and with the help of smaller and weaker states took over the administration of much of the continent of India. Thus, the Britishers took control over India. So, this period is also known as the colonization period for India also. Now, about the sources of colonial period. In order to write about any historical period, a historian needs to gather information from various sources. So, there are different types of sources through which we come to know about this colonial period. First, administrative records. British kept a record of every administrative procedure. These records were kept in every important office, right from the office of the Tehsildar to the office of the collector. Before the advent of the printing press, these records were carefully copied by the specialists. Afterwards, with the development of printing technology, many copies of such records could be produced. And some traveler accounts also tells us about the ancient time, like Huan Sang, Fahian, Marco Polo, and Babur, the first Mughal emperor, recorded the details of his reign in his Tujuke-i-Babari, which is known as Babarnama. Abul Fazl also recorded Akbar's policies and administration in Akbarnama. So thus we can see that a few archival records did exist in the pre-colonial India also. Something about the pre-colonial archives. During the ancient time, the Hindu kings did not know the art of keeping written records. So, however, few records of events have been discovered written on Tamra Patra, means copper plate. National Museum of India. The National Museum of India is in Delhi is a rich source of information for historians and archaeologists. It also has a library stocked with journals and periodicals. These all are arranged in a chronological order. Survey reports. The Britishers have conducted the survey system on every important aspect of the people and place. Land survey was undertaken to maintain accurate record of land. The survey was done on flora and fauna. And so these gives us much needed information about resources available in the region. So the Survey of India organization was set up in Dehradun to administer these surveys. Mapping became an important part of this. The British started the first census survey in India and completed it in 1871. So ever since, these surveys have been carried out every 10 years. Indigenous literary sources. The diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities, popular booklets, novels, newspapers, etc. are the some literary sources through which we come to know about. Newspapers and press materials. The newspapers and press played a major role during the colonial period, especially in spreading the resistance against the British by Indian leaders. The first English newspaper was the Bengal Gazette, which was published by an Englishman, James Augustus Hickey. Vernacular press reflected a lot about the feelings of the Indians under the British rule. Kesari, Young India, The Tribune, Amrita Bazaar, Patrika, etc. shared ideas and efforts of the freedom fighters. Bengali newspapers Samachar Darpan and Sambad Kaumudi published from Calcutta were among the first Indian. So students, through these newspapers and press materials, we get to know how people struggled against the British rule at that time. Now literature. Literature is another important source of this period, especially of the colonial period. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee is considered as one of the most famous writers of this period, whose works, for example Anandamath, reflected his ideas of India as a nation. Mahatma Gandhi's Hind Swaraj and Jawaharlal Nehru's discovery of India are some other important sources of the colonial period. The works of B.R. Ambedkar highlighted about the caste issues and the need of reforms in this area. So, these sources help a great deal in the study of socio-cultural changes that the modern India witnessed. At the same time, in the 19th century Europe, an English naturalist and scholar, Charles Darwin, he introduced his book on the origin of species by means of natural selection in the year 1859. And students, this book created wonders in the world of science and the origin of species. This book entirely tell you about the species, how they survive and evolve, while others die and become extinct. There are lots of information are there that is not possible to explain within a certain period of time. So I hope you all have understood. Thank you.